Welcome into Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. It is Friday, April 14th. Your host, Brendan Glasheen, joined today by Anthony DeBundo and BJ Cunningham. Our show, Payoff Pitch, is presented by BetMGM. We're here every Monday, Tuesday, and Friday during the baseball season. 3 shows a week. Rate, review, subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Season is off and running. 15-game slate. We've got a couple of Apple TV games. The Rays, bound for history. We'll find out how we're going to play the Rays or if we're going to stay away from the Rays. They're in Toronto tonight. Some other spots that I think these guys have circled, and also I may need a second at the end of the pod before Monday to get excited about Shohei Ohtani pitching on Patriots Day at Fenway Park. But first, best bets. We'll start with BJ Cunningham. How you doing, my friend? What do you got for a best bet on this Friday?
I'm doing great, Brennan. Thanks for asking. I like the Rockies for the first 5 innings at plus 135 against the Mariners. Austin Gomber's going to be on the mound for Colorado. He's a pretty drastic underperformer the last 2 seasons since he became a full-time starter in the Rockies rotation. In 2021, he had an ERA of 4.53. xERA was almost a half run lower at 4.09. Then last season, his ERA was 5.56, but his xERA is almost a full run lower as well. And, it's what it comes down to is he's a fly ball pitcher and he pitches in Coors Field, which is not a good recipe. So his home run per nine rate has been above 1.4 the last 2 seasons. The good news for him is this game's being played in T-Mobile Park, which is one of the more pitcher-friendly parks in baseball. And if they decide not to close the roof in Seattle, it's going to be a cold one. It's going to be 47 degrees by game time. Gomber will be taking on one of my nemesis, one of the biggest overperformers in Major League Baseball, Marco Gonzalez, who is averaging just 88 miles per hour on his fastball and 86 miles per hour on his cutter. Both of those pitches allowed an expected weighted on base average above 370 last season. He has one of the worst K per nine rates among qualified starting pitchers. And listen, he's very reliant on getting ground balls with his changeup. But the Rockies last season, per Baseball Savant, against left-handed fastballs and changeups that were below 90 miles per hour, had over a 300 expected batting average, a 351 expected weighted on base average, and a plus 21.7 run value. So they just obliterate soft tossing lefties. So I like the value on Gomber and the Rockies, who I have projected as an ever so slight favorite here on the road, plus 135.
Okay, good stuff. Rockies minus 17 run differential for the season, but BJ thinks they could turn things around, taking on the Twins today. Anthony DeBundo, you're up next. Best bet for Friday. Big slate. Everyone's in action.
Yeah, it's Tyler Wells Day again. If you remember and have been a podcast listener to this show for more than the last few weeks and go back to last season, Tyler Wells is one of my favorite pitchers in all of baseball relative to the market. And I think the reason that the market is consistently lower on him is he doesn't put up impressive strikeout numbers. His strikeout minus walk rate is consistently below the level of what I think his actual pitching talent is. And he generates a lot of weak contact, a lot of pop-ups. He's on the road against the Chicago White Sox. I like Baltimore in both halves, first 5 and money line, because I think there's a huge gap between these 2 starting pitchers at this point in their careers. Mike Clevinger has made 2 starts for the White Sox this year. He has 1 pitch that grades out as above average by Stuff Plus. So there are some real concerns in his pitch mix. 4-seam fastball, Stuff Plus, 83 in his last start, very below average. So I'm a little concerned about Clev, and his underlying numbers have been in a pretty stark decline the last couple of years. 4.7 xERA last year, or 2 years ago, 4.65 last season, and really hasn't shown anything thus far this season to make me think he's any better. Whereas Tyler Wells, like I mentioned, the strikeout rate is well below average. He's been about 7 strikeouts per 9 the last year and a half since he became a stretched out starter. Mm-hmm. But Wells has a 3.3 xERA and a 107 Stuff Plus. So I'm encouraged by Wells. Both offenses here for the White Sox, they're in their worst offensive split against righties. It has once again persisted this season thus far that Chicago is going to be elite against left-handed pitching, and they're going to be about average to below average against righties. That's been true for the last 3 seasons. It remains true in the first 2 weeks of this year. And Baltimore now projects better against righties than lefties. So it's a very favorable split matchup. I like the starter a lot better, and it's a coin flip game, minus 110. I love Baltimore first 5 and money line.
Total set at 9. Both teams have been good to the over this year, Chicago and Baltimore. Orioles 9-4 to the over. White Sox 8-4-1. and that's limited company. We've got 7 teams that have 8 wins to the over this year, and those 2 teams are included. And by the way, I meant to say Rockies are playing the Mariners, not the Twins, in BJ's best bets. So BJ likes the Rockies first 5, DeBundo, Orioles first 5, and full game money line. Okay, gents, for Fade the Public today, let's just make it about the Rays. Like, we'll just take the easy way and just go Rays, because doing 2 segments, I just find that this is the story, right? Like, Tampa Bay is 13-0, 13 wins to start a season, tied for the most to start a season since the Milwaukee Brewers were 13-0 in 1987. They can make history tonight. The Rays just wrapped up their series with Boston at home. They're in Toronto. Minus 130 on the money line. Blue Jays at plus 110. Rasmussen on the mound for the Rays, and Jose Barrios for the Toronto Blue Jays. BJ, we taking Tampa? How do we want to play it? Staying away? Are we afraid of this?
Listen, like everybody at this company, it seems like I've just been fading the Rays during this win streak, and the market's gotten too high on them. Like it did yesterday against the Red Sox. Red Sox were playing well, and then they imploded in the 5th inning, and that was that.
BJ, they were playing the Tigers. Like, I'm with you. Like, I hope they have a good year, but they weren't playing that well. They were playing the Tigers.
They were playing fine, Brennan.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the market's just gotten kind of high here. But again, do I want to fade the Rays with Jose Barrios again? A guy who was a 4.5 xERA pitcher last season is seemingly just starting to fall a little bit off a cliff because his first 2 starts have been really, really bad this season. And here's what I think it comes down to, and I think people need to why we keep fading the Rays and like that is because obviously the market's gotten too high on them. But what it really is like the perception of the Rays coming into the season was they had outstanding starting pitching, they have an outstanding bullpen, but their offense was very average, right? Like from a projection standpoint, and they've been the best offense in Major League Baseball to start the season. We're 13 games in, from a projection standpoint. I don't expect them to be this unbelievable, 390 weighted on base average offense going forward for the rest of the season. So from a pure talent perspective, the Blue Jays have more talent across their offense than the Rays do. But obviously you give the Rays an edge in the starting pitching and the bullpen matchup here. So, I have the Rays at minus 112. Sean has them at minus 116. So if the Blue Jays get steamed up to, a plus 125, plus 130 range, like, I guess I got to bite the bullet again and fade the Rays. But yeah, I guess they're probably going to make history tonight, which is crazy to say.
So they're getting 74% of the bets, 71% of the cash. It's about the same as it was last night before I shut her down. 32 home runs to lead Major League Baseball. Fucking Brandon Lowe. Guy's driving me nuts. Sorry. I'm just
Brandon Lau.
Lau, whatever. Derek Lowe is better. Lowe spelt it right and said it right.
Legend Derek Lowe.
Oh, God, I'm in Denver. The MLB network's on. They got the game on. They got the Sox Rays game on. I'm like, this team, whatever. We're skipping.
They're winning the AL East.
Yeah, DeBundo, yes or no on Tampa? You want to take Tampa, or are we going to the other side and thinking they're going to lose tonight in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Rays when they were an underdog, which you could have bet yesterday morning.
Yes,
look ahead lines had. Yep. Barrios is a minus 115 favorite. Tampa Bay right around even money. They actually opened some shops plus money. Now you're laying minus 130. I think that's the Rays tax personified. I want no part at all of Jose Barrios though. And he had one of the 3 or 4 worst zone contact rates in all of baseball last year. So when he threw the ball in the zone, teams did not miss it. The Rays are relatively disciplined in their chase rates, so they're not going to chase his stuff all that much. Thus, he will be in the zone. Thus, he will get hit, I think, in this matchup. Now, I do kind of like the matchup for the Jays here because Rasmussen is similar in that sense. The Jays have a little bit more chasers in their lineup. They'll swing at bad pitches, but thus far, when Rasmussen's been in the zone, he has not generated a lot of whiffs either. So I would lean toward the over here just based on that, but I have no real play here.
Okay. Zerillo's got first 5 over, 5.5 runs.
Can't go wrong with fading Barrios these days. So
there's always blow up potential with him.
Okay. All right. We'll see if Tampa does it. And if they don't, we won't be able to talk to you. I mean, there'll be content, actionnetwork.com, Action Network app, but we won't have payoff pitch till Monday. So if they're undefeated by Monday, this could get really interesting. I'm not, when I was putting together the rundown or filling in the blanks on the rundown last night, I was not surprised to see one of you, BJ, picking the Cubs because the guy he's pitching against Noah Syndergaard, minus 165 on the money line.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
I mean, honestly, I think this has more to do with Justin Steele than it does Noah Syndergaard. Like, Justin Steele was really, really good. He's probably the Cubs' best starting pitcher last season. 3.5 xERA. He backed up in his first 2 starts already this season, giving up 1 run on 7 hits and 12 innings of work. And he mainly does it with just a fastball and a slider. And his slider is incredibly effective. Last season allowed a 176 expected batting average and had a 32% whiff rate. The Dodgers were much worse against left-handed pitching than they were against righties last season. They were the best offense in Major League Baseball against righties. Against left-handed sliders last year, 204 x batting average, 280 x weighted on base average. Plus, I mean, this is something we talked about. Like, the Dodgers lineup, especially the bottom of it, is not as scary as it's been in years past. They just don't have the depth that they did, in the past few years. And Noah Syndergaard, yeah, like you mentioned, yeah, he's just not the pitcher he was with the Mets. In those years in New York, his expected ERA never got above 3.5. His K per 9 rate never went below 9. Last season with the Angels and the Phillies, his expected ERA was 4.3 and his K per 9 rate was 6.05. That's really, really low for a guy who was throwing. And really what it comes down to is before Tommy John, he was, averaging 97.5 miles per hour on his fastball and his sinker. Well, now he's averaging around like 93, 92.7. So for a power pitcher not to be able to throw that much velocity anymore, he just doesn't really know how to pitch another way. So that's why I think you're seeing the decline in Noah Syndergaard. So yeah, I like the Cubs at plus 150. I only have the Dodgers at minus 127 because I believe the Cubs have an edge in the starting pitching matchup. Now you can give the Dodgers an edge in terms of their lineup and the bullpen, but yeah, I don't think that Syndergaard should be this significant of a favorite.
Okay. I'm glad that worked out when I figured one of you would go that direction. Yeah. You did. So, and they're at minus 160 now, the Dodgers, over at BetMGM. So it's come back a little bit, but yeah, Cubs are a dog. Debundo, underdog that you like on this Friday slate.
Yeah, I like the Kansas City Royals plus 115 at home against Charlie Morton and the Atlanta Braves. I'm a little worried about Big Chuck here and that the cliff may have finally come for him. I mean, it's early. It's only been 2 starts, but Morton is bottom 10 in the league in strikeout minus walk rate. And it does take some time for that statistic to stabilize and be a little more meaningful, predictive, but it is one of the most powerful indicators we look at for a pitcher. And the concerning thing with Morton is not that the walks are up, but the strikeouts are down, missing fewer bats, swinging strike rates down, stuff plus is down. And this is something that happened a little bit last year. So he was a little bit of a slow starter. He had a really bad April coming off of an injury. This year, there's no injury, and he is looking almost as bad as he did at that point last year. So I'm going to take a bite against Morton here that he's a little still overinflated, and they're pricing him like a Charlie Morton that he may not be anymore. So I like the Royals plus 115 at home. Big believer in Brady Singer's changes. Still don't think he's necessarily ever going to be an elite guy, but certainly has improved his floor in the last year or so.
Our audio producer, Matt Mitchell, has chimed in that he's interested in the reverse run line, plus 240. Thank you, Mitchell, and good luck to you on that one. Morton did pitch against the Padres last time out. 5 innings, 6 hits, allowed 1 home run. He walked a couple. You concerned though? But yeah, you're concerned the walk rate is going to be not a walk rate, but the walks early on in the year have been a concern, right?
Yeah, I mean, his curveball is still elite. It's one of the best curveballs in all of baseball, but fastball stuff plus for Morton's first 2 starts, 84 in the first start, 73 in the second. 100 is considered average. This is from Eno Saris. That's really concerning when he was sitting above 100 last year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Braves first place in the NL East, and we've got the Royals at 4-9, minus 14 run differential. Okay, before we go, we give out a couple more bets, and then we send you off on your weekend, everybody. BJ, you can go first. What else you got? A couple more.
Yeah, so I agree with Anthony. I like the Orioles for the first 5. I like Tyler Wells there, especially with the White Sox not having both Tim Anderson and Eloy Jimenez in the lineup obviously hurts them quite a bit. So I'm with Anthony on that. I like the over 4.5 for the first 5 in Giants Tigers. Joey Wentz, like in a 32 inning sample size last season, he was about a 3.6 xERA pitcher. He's had 2 really bad starts, especially one against Sox to begin this season. If you look at it from any projection model, he's a 4.6, 4.7 ERA type pitcher. So I don't expect him to put up the numbers that he did last season. So I think the market's just kind of overrating him a little bit. And Sean Manaea has just been a really just bang on average Major League Baseball pitcher. And the Tigers were really good against lefties last season. But I love our Boston Red Sox as well. Brendan. First 5, full game. Tanner Houck is the best starting pitcher the Red Sox have in their arsenal. I mean, he's been under a 3.7 xERA for running basically his entire career now. He's got incredible stuff. He's going against Patrick Sandoval, who has been very, very good as well. But the Red Sox were top 8 in Major League Baseball weighted on base average against left-handed pitching last season. They're at home. So I think there's some decent value on them.
Did you see their lineup yesterday? That is not last season's lineup.
It's okay. We're going to be okay. Just, I need you to take a deep breath. We're going to be okay.
You can't, you said Action Network that the company as a collective has faded Tampa. Well, as a collective, you all keep betting the Red Sox too much.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
Well, they're undervalued. Like
and I get to say that as a host. I'm allowed to do
every
that.
single day. They're undervalued, and they're undervalued here again. So Red Sox first 5 and full game, along with fading Marco Gonzalez every possible way, including first 5 over 1.5 runs.
All right, fine. Debundo, you're doing it too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is my second Red Sox bet of the year. I'm generally lower than the market on the Red Sox, and they got crushed the one time I did bet them. But I like this matchup for Tanner Houck because of all the pitchers in all of Major League Baseball, you could make an argument, and I'd probably agree with it, that Tanner Houck is the most split-dependent pitcher in the league. And it is shown out through the first couple of starts. When you're able to stack lefties against him, he's not very good. He has allowed a .969 OPS against left-handed pitching this year. It was a major problem for him last year. He can't get lefties out. His stuff, his arsenal is not well suited. His slider being his best pitch, not really having a ton of depth to the arsenal gives him problems. But against righties, he's elite. And let's think about the Angels lineup: Rendon, Renfroe, Trout, Ward, Ohapi, Drury, 6 of their 9, Urshela, arguably, although I think they'll platoon 1 or 2 of those guys. They're going to have 6 righties. The only lefties in the lineup really are the guy Ohtani. He's pretty good, so might be a problem there. But Ohtani, Luis Rengifo, and potentially Jake Lamb. So the Angels don't have left-handed bats to cause the similar problems. Whereas, Sandoval's kind of been a reverse splits guy. And, Yoshida is questionable. That will be a big impact to this offense. His on-base skills are massive for the middle of this order. But Yoshida and Devers, they have good big left-handed bats that can cause problems for Sandoval, who has been better against righties in his career. So I like the split advantage here for Boston. I'm going to take the Red Sox. I split my bet as well, first 5 in full game. You can find them right around even money. At home, I like that. For Boston, just again, it's all about the splits with Houck. And when he's able to get a bunch of righties, he's pretty damn good. He's allowed an 0.83 batting average in 12 at-bats this year against righties, much better against them. Then I will also want to note, people who follow me in the app, that I did bet Minnesota at plus 155 last night, expecting Tyler Mahle, who was projected starter, but he's been scratched, and it's now Louis Varland. No interest in Louis Varland at that number. Unfortunately, I'm stuck in a pretty bad bet here. F5 over in Rockies Mariners, just a pure fade of both starting pitchers who grade out in the bottom 10 in all the baseball and stuff. Plus, Marco Gonzalez, BJ already talked about the Rockies and how well they hit fastballs and changeups from soft tossing lefties. I agree with that. So I played some F5 over 4.5 there. And then an ugly under between Trevor Rogers. Okay, wait. There's too many goddamn Rogers. Hold on.
There are too many Rogers in this league.
There are way too many Rogers. It's Trevor Rogers, who pitches for the Miami Marlins
That's
tonight.
not getting edited out, by the way. That's
there are way too many Rogers.
Do not edit that out, please.
Trevor Rogers against Madison Bumgarner. I like the under 9, and this is really all about the splits as well. Both offenses project much better against righties. Bumgarner, as bad as he is, has been dealing with a little bit of like an injury thing. So I think his outing could be potentially shortened, and that's good. The fewer innings we get from Bumgarner, the better. But really, Miami historically bad against lefties last season. They're looking just as bad against them this year. Given their additions in the offseason, I don't expect a ton of improvements for them against Southpaws. So I'm going to take the under 9 and hold my nose in Miami and Arizona. Trevor Rogers is the lefty for Miami.
All right, gents, very good. Good luck with the Red Sox bets. They do play all weekend and then into Marathon Monday, Patriots Day on Monday. In all likelihood, when we do payoff pitch on Monday, we won't be able to touch on the game because the game starts at 11 a.m. Eastern. I am very much looking forward to those Shohei Ohtani wiping the Red Sox bums on Monday morning. It's going to be
They're not gonna
fantastic.
No, they're not going to do that. No.
Oh, you don't think so?
Who's
Okay.
going for
No.
Boston?
Say it again.
Boston, it's
Who's
marathon
pitching for
day.
Boston?
I don't care.
It doesn't matter. It's marathon day.
Oh, that's your. You think Mark Loretta's back? He's going to hit a home run into the left field
Chris
wall.
Sale?
Oh,
Is
that'd be
it-
great. He's
that would be
by the way,
fun.
Chris Sale's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, Chris Sale's horrible. Anywho, we probably won't be able to get to that
Either
game.
Sale or Kluber.
But I'm really excited. And Ohtani's already in IG storying downtown Boston, the sunset. So if that means Ohtani likes Boston, I'm into that. Like, that I'm into. And right now it sets up to be Ohtani, Chris Sale. Yes, you are correct. So great. That would have been fun like 5 years ago for Chris Sale's sake. But anywho, BJ Cunningham, Anthony DeBundo, gents, you have a tremendous weekend and good luck with the picks. Looking forward to seeing how this goes. And then I'm looking forward to Monday. Brendan Glasheen signing off. Thanks for tuning in to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. We are presented by BetMGM. We will talk to you all again on Monday.